There we go. We are recording. Thank you for the reminder. All right. So, welcome everybody. We are now centered and aligned properly in order to move forward with our dinner with the docs for this month. Dinner with the docs is something that we do every fourth Tuesday of every month with myself and Dr. Carey and Dr. Abby do it every second Tuesday of each month. And these are discussions, classes, if you will, of different art forms. And what I mean by art forms is that they are ways, methods, um, or information that we can employ for our betterment, for our wellness, and for our health and balance. So that's the purpose of Dinner with the Docs. It's from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it's a great way to share what the practitioner holds deep, uh, a deep passion for, and also what we find mm, that our society or our communities are calling for. And in today's discussion, I'm going to talk about emotions, emotional well being, and why emotions are so important, how we can learn to objectively observe, acknowledge our emotions so that they may pass through, so that they no longer find the need to linger within us, because lingering emotion can become can manifest itself in some kind of dis-ease or disharmony. So let's go back a little bit, and there's a quote by Publilius Cyrus that says, "Rule your emotions, lest your emotions rule you. Rule your emotions, lest your emotions rule you." And I love that quote because emotions are not just important to our being. Emotions are what makes us the individual that we are. Emotions are of such importance that they almost drive our thoughts and our actions for every single situation that we can find ourselves in. Our emotions are the drivers of the vehicle that we call the body. And the body, in many of today's traditional teachings, our body is made up of three different characteristics, or three bodies within this vehicle. One is the physical body, the other one is the emotional body, and the third one is the mental body. And other schools of thought uh, have placed different names to these bodies. We have mind, body, and consciousness, or mind, body, and spirit, whichever vocabulary term seems appropriate for you. But we're talking about three aspects of what makes up who we are. We have our physical body, our physical manifestation in this plane of existence. We have our thoughts, our consciousness, but our emotions are what sets us apart from other animals, from other species. They are not only what drive us, but give us the oomph necessary to tackle the day and the beginning of the day. But it's also where we learn what our means of learning. We cannot learn without having an emotion. That's true. We have to experience the emotion of that learning in order to learn and evolve from it. That's the power of our emotions. And our emotions are categorized, right? We know we have sadness, we have anger, we have fear, we have joy, um, but it's not necessarily determining what emotion you are feeling or you are experiencing or you are sensing at any given time. It's not placing a name to that feeling that is important. It is observing whatever it is you feel deep within you, aside from giving it a name, feeling it, truly feeling it, observing it, and acknowledging what you are feeling at that time that allows you to shine a light into that emotion that may seem out of harmony to your everyday balance. And by shining a light on what is deemed dark, that darkness then dissipates. Now I'm talking in metaphors and everything, but it's not necessarily a metaphor for me. I'm trying what I'm trying to convey is that whenever we feel an emotion or whenever we are in an emotional state because of X, Y, and Z, we had an argument with a loved one, or a colleague, or one of the leaders at work, scolded you, or whatever the case may be. That emotion, if it's something that is lingering, if it's something that you can't let go for whatever reason, then the invitation here is to sit back, breathe, like we just did, for example, breathe, sit in that emotion, you know, experience and fully sense whatever that emotion is. And by a very short amount of time, that emotion is going to dissipate. The memory still might stay, the memory of that emotion might stay, right? But it's no longer going to affect you as deeply as it did prior. Our emotions are of such importance that the health practitioners of today's age, they know, they understand that a good 85 to 90% of all diseases are emotionally based. And that's a powerful statement. That's a powerful statement simply because you it gives our emotions that much more power. And why is that? It's simply because our emotions are what make us evolve into the higher state of beings that we are meant to be. Each and every one of us has evolved from yesterday. Each and every one of us has evolved from a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so on. When you wake up every single morning, you are not the same being you were yesterday. You might have many similarities. Your mindset and your behavior might be very similar. It might go hand in hand, but you are not the same person because every single emotion you experienced the day before has had a learning to bring upon you. And by learning whatever that quote unquote thing is, you allow yourself to evolve, to move forward in alignment, in correct balance and harmony. We're going to go into what alignment is, what I mean by alignment in a little bit. But needless to say, that's the power that our emotions have, and why we have such a responsibility. Mind you, responsibility, if you break it down, is the ability to respond to. Responsibility. We have the responsibility to pay attention and bring about awareness to our emotional state, because when we do so, we can bring about true healing from within our body, and we can heal our mental body, our emotional body, and our physical body. Back in the day, back in the day, actually, MedicineNet in 2016 defines disease as an illness or sickness characterized by specific signs or symptoms. What a general definition. However, if we move further into certain philosophies and certain researches that have been made from then on until now, we have now a term. Hold on one second. We have a term called psychoneuroendoimmunology. Now that's a big word. For short, it's PNEI. Psychoneuroendoimmunology. Psycho, the psyche, psychology. Neuro, neurology. Endocrinology, our hormones. Immunology. So now we have a term that has been developed that looks at all of these systems and how they function in conjunction to one another in order to maintain a sense of balance and harmony, which we call in medicine homeostasis. It's our natural balance and harmony. Psychoneuroendoimmunology, or PNEI, is the old term of what is being researched more in today's time, and that is systems biology. Systems biology is looking at various systems, organ systems, and how they function with one another to again maintain that well-being of, of, uh, of our body. But we know now, with all of this research, that our emotions can cause various stresses in our body. And by stresses, those stress factors, they raise our inflammatory markers. They create inflammation within. That is fact that is known now as concrete science. Now, if if we look at our emotions, and we are in a state of stress, stress being something that is chaotic within, or in accelerated movement is what I'd like to call it, because uh, chaos is not a bad thing. Chaos is not a good or bad thing. It's just chaos. It's constant movement. Constant movement is necessary to have life upon this planet. However, if there's accelerated movement without the balance of that, which is bringing calm or pausing, then you only have this constant accelerated movement, which then creates a stress within the body. So we have constant movement, and the whole complement to active movement is the ability to pause. That is why when we find ourselves in an emotional state that is uneasy before it becomes a state of dis-ease. Disease is two words, I think I mentioned earlier. If you look at it and separate it, this comes from the Latin prefix, um, uh, what's the word? Meaning away or a part of or apart from. Dis-ease, something that is no longer easy or at ease. So when we look at our emotional state and we find ourselves in a state that is no longer smooth, that is no longer clear, that leads to a hindrance of our thought or our actions, that emotion can lead to a state of physical dis-ease. A pioneer in the field of suicidology, Edwin Schneidman, he said that he described psychological or mental pain as how much you hurt as a human being. Very interesting, because it's not necessarily a physical physical pain. It is a felt pain. Now we know in the field of biopsychology and neuropsychology, researchers have clearly demonstrated and shown the correlation between our emotions and physical signaling. So let me give you an example of this. A young child, a young boy, goes to see his medical doctor with his mother, of course, and he describes pain in the throat. The medical doctor, with great intention and everything, does run some tests and notices that the tonsils are swollen. Very correctly, with regards to the training of the medical doctor, he gives him an antibiotic. After all, if you have an infection, an antibiotic is used to clear that infection. So the boy goes home, infection goes away. The boy comes back a month or two later, same thing. Infection of the tonsils, tonsillitis. Another round of antibiotics, again, very correctly done, and the infection goes away. Comes back another month later, and now the medical doctor, again, perfectly correct, says, we need to remove your tonsils. So what happens? The child uh, goes through a minor surgery. The tonsils are removed. Of course, the child no longer has tonsillitis because there are no tonsils. But then the child, now in his teenage years, comes back and suffers from migraines. The medical doctor gives him pain medication to reduce the symptoms of the migraine. And this progresses, right, until the child is an adult. And this is just an example, folks, but until the child is an adult and the migraines have subsided, yet now there are signs of having a fatty liver or an inflamed liver leading to a possible hepatitis. Now, to a medical doctor with the training they have gone through, there's not much of a correlation. However, same scenario with a little bit of a twist here. The child is taken to someone that works in integrative medicine or integrative care or therapy or a holistic physician. And now the holistic physician, being trained in various art forms And the training here is to pinpoint exactly the main cause of XYZ symptom, in this case, the child with inflamed tonsils, through asking various questions, through the use of pulse diagnosis, for example, found in traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, or through the use of muscle testing, or through the use of tongue diagnosis, or whatever diagnostic skill you you have learned as the therapist. We come to find out, again, in this case, through asking questions, we pinpoint that there is an emotional component to the tonsillitis because the mother says, well, my son only gets sick after his dad yells at him. Now, to a medical doctor, again, they don't have they have a different training. So maybe there's not much of a correlation there, but to us that makes perfect sense because we know, for example, in Chinese medicine, that the liver stores the emotion of anger and frustration, irritability and irascibility. And what happens in that case is that the liver gets so angry and pent up that it creates heat within the body. And what that does is, what does heat do in nature? It doesn't fall to the floor, it rises, right? So what does that do? Heat, just like a flame, rises into the body and gets lodged in various parts. So now we go back to the story, and we know now that the child has an angry heat lodged in the tonsils that needs to be removed or cleared through the use of, again, acupuncture or energy therapy or mind body therapy or behavioral techniques, or maybe just by teaching the child to observe and acknowledge that emotion in an internalized state. So maybe through meditation or mindfulness, the child now clears himself of the infections of the tonsils, stops any future manifestation of migraines, and more so, clears himself from the possibility of inviting an inflamed liver in his adult years. So I'm not saying that one training is better than the other, not by any means. I'm saying that if we as practitioners and practitioners of healthcare, meaning medical doctor and everyone in the field of medicine, if we learn to work together in an integrative approach of well-being, balance and harmony, we can learn to speak each other's language. And we can learn to find the appropriate treatment for whatever state of dis-ease your client or patient find themselves in. Not only can we treat the symptom, but we can treat the main cause, the root of whatever sign or symptom you may be experiencing. And again, going back to my previous statement, 85 to 90% of all symptoms, aka all disease, it is emotionally based or has an emotional component to it. It is of extreme importance to tap into our emotions, to really observe and acknowledge our state of being. When we tap in, When we acknowledge whatever state of being we find ourselves in, we 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 begin by feeling our physical body. How do we feel? Is there tension here? Is there a little bit of distension in the abdomen, or maybe a little bit of back pain? How do we feel? That's number one. Number two, how do we feel mentally? Are we mentally charged? Is this mind constantly turning? Is this wheel constantly turning? Or are we able to reduce the volume? And I express the term reduce the volume because we are not meant to turn our brain off. The brain is always a constant. Our mind is a constant. It should never be turned off. When people think of meditation, they think, oh, I have to turn off my brain. No, quite the opposite. Observe and acknowledge your state of mind, and then, just like you're reducing the volume of the TV, just bring down the volume. Just bring down the volume of the mind so that it may simmer ever so softly. By training yourself to do this on a daily basis, you will find yourselves in a state of serenity. And we'll go into that in a little bit. But it's a state where you are calm of heart, you are calm of mind, and you are in a state of alignment. First comes the physical body, that's tranquility. We bring tranquility to our physical body. Next, we bring serenity. We bring serenity to our emotions and our mind. Third, we bring connectivity to our consciousness. So I pushed forward a little bit. Let's backtrack. Once we sense our state of body, our body's state of being, we bring it a sense of tranquility. We allow our breath to bring a sense of calm, a sense of pause to our body so that it can perform its adequate factors of maintenance. Because we know now, actually, if you Google it, we know that meditation or the state of pause allows for correct maintenance of our bodies. We observe our state of mind and we just bring down the volume, and then we observe our emotional state. And that's where the power lies. If we observe, by observing our emotional state and by being aware of how we feel, if we are angry, if we are saddened, if we feel hurt, or if we feel worried or anxious, observe it, acknowledge it for what it is. And that allows for that observation, that acknowledgement is the light that shines upon the darkness. And when there is light, a spotlight in a dark space, that darkness dissipates. And therefore, that state of emotion that you found yourself in that may be unpleasant will also dissipate, it will simmer. Now, people will ask me, well, what if you are joyful? What if you are happy? Then by all means, observe and acknowledge that state of happiness. You don't have to pause and do your routine, your pausing routine on a daily basis only because there's emotion you don't like. If anything, the invitation here is to Observe and acknowledge your state of happiness because it brings us this yummy feeling. And this yummy feeling is not just felt from the heart. This yummy feeling is the feeling that gives you goosebumps. I don't know if you could see that, but it's what brings us this, this wonderful feeling of intense, almost ecstasy. This intense feeling of life is good, of I am happy, of I can smile today, I am loved, or I am in love. What better thing to observe and acknowledge? So that leads us forward to one of the ways we can learn to not let our emotions control us, and that is through the use of meditation or mindfulness or whatever technique you use to just sit back, take a few minutes on a daily basis, and just completely feel your being for who and what it is. I hope I'm making sense with what I'm trying to explain with regards to our emotions. Our emotions are of that importance, but it's also what what drives us, right? I think we talked about this already. We learn from our emotions, and our emotions dictate how we think and act upon a certain situation moving forward. So if we look at disease as its true meaning, dis-ease, something no longer in harmony, and we look at our emotional state, we can pinpoint very concretely what, when, and how that emotion affected us and how it has manifested itself into a physical either pain or discomfort. There's another example, um, the wonderful example of a broken heart. A broken heart, although previous to, I believe, 2010, was not necessarily understood by science. A broken heart was a broken heart, get over it. Nowadays, nowadays, we can observe a broken heart, an emotional broken heart, through scans. We can actually see the manifestation of a broken heart. That is how powerful our emotions are. And that is why we must observe them, but also acknowledge emotions for what they are. They are what what gives us life. They are what gives us the ability to express emotions. I say it again, emotions are the driver of the vehicle, right? They allow us to express happiness, joy, anger, frustration, grief and sadness, worry and pensiveness, fear and fright. They are what makes us who we are as individuals and as a species. So let's move forward here. And I mentioned the word alignment, right? And alignment, to be aligned is to be centered. And to be centered is to be in awareness of the three bodies that we mentioned: the physical body, mental body, and emotional body. Or in this sense, I'm going to use this trilogy, which is the body, the mind, and the consciousness. Okay. And when we take time, as mentioned before, take a few minutes on a daily basis to really tap in and observe and acknowledge, then we can find our state of alignment. And that state of alignment brings about physical tranquility, reduction of muscle tightness, reduction of physical pain, reduction of any twitches and uncomfortable feelings that we may have on a physical level. It brings tranquility to the body. It brings about serenity of the mind. And by mind, I mean the mental body and emotional body. The thoughts and emotions. If we bring about serenity to the mind, we no longer allow for emotions to control us. Emotions are the most important thing, and they are what makes us who we are. So we cannot turn them off. In fact, nobody should turn off their emotions. We are not robots. But instead, the teachings of meditations and various other art forms, they teach us to not let our emotions control us. So whatever state we are in, we observe and acknowledge that emotion, and that emotion dissipates. It's let go of. There's an interesting meme I saw on social media not too long ago, and it's two Buddhist monks, and there is the master and the disciple, and they are trained, or there's a perception that they are trained to never get involved, right? And it says on top, monks do not get involved, or something to that effect. And they are both walking down the street, and an elder lady needs to cross the red light. And the master monk comes and helps the old lady cross the light safely. And the disciple he doesn't know what he's aside himself. He doesn't know what to do. He goes up to the master and says, "Master, I don't understand. I thought we weren't supposed to get involved." And the master looks at him and says, "I haven't gotten involved. I already let it go." Little toy on words. I found it amusing. But needless to say, that's what we're meant to do with our emotions. We're meant to learn from them, evolve from the experience of feeling that they bring us, and let them pass. And then it brings about a state of connectivity. And we're not talking about religious or religion or ways of life here. I'm just saying a connectivity to a higher self, or a connectivity to our center, or our connectivity to, consciousness, or source, or a higher power, whatever the case may be. But it is a connectivity to something other than just this form. So we have tranquility, we have serenity, and we have connectivity. And when we have those three factors, we are in a state of alignment. And when we are in a state of alignment, there is no need for the invitation of this ease because we are no longer in an uneasy state. We are, how to say, we are um, surrendering to life adventures without expectation, without judgment, without fear. We are learning to be the surfers and riding the wave of life in a state of alignment. Everything becomes smooth, everything becomes clear. In alignment, we have compassion. We act with goodwill and good intention for ourselves and for our brothers and sisters of this planet. We are in a state of harmony and balance, homeostasis, where everything flows as it should. And suddenly, this movement does not create pain or discomfort. And suddenly, this icky feeling that I have inside does not affect me. And suddenly, this mind that is constantly, you know, turning can simmer and we can enjoy what life is because life is fun. Life is good. Life is magical if we choose to see it. Here's an invitation for everyone here. Next time you can, go to your window and look outside. And before you look outside, close your eyes and just center yourself. Whatever way, shape, or form that is for you, center yourself. And then open your eyes as if it's the first time you've looked outside your window. You've never seen outside this window before. I guarantee you, you will notice at least 5 things that you were not aware of in that landscape. And in those 5 things, there will be a spark of magic. Maybe a bird that is singing, maybe the wind that is caressing the leaves and the leaves singing you a song. Maybe the raindrops hitting the floor beneath you and creating a sense of tranquility or nourishment. Maybe you can find peace or a sense of calmness from the calm sky above. Whatever the case may be, the invitation is to try that next time you look out your window and see if you can see the magic that is in life because it surrounds us 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have the ability to choose to see it. I'm 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 going quickly on time here. It's already 7:49. So, toolbox, a toolbox. One, we talked meditation, we talked mindfulness, we talked various other techniques to claim that state of alignment. Now, my recommendation is this: have a morning routine. We spoke about this on a previous dinner with the dogs, but set a morning routine. If you wake up at 7 every single day, wake up 45 minutes before. 45 minutes is not a long time. at 6:15 and allow yourself to claim that state of alignment first thing in the morning. Allow yourself to be grateful, to bring a sense of gratitude for the life that you are, for the day that you are about to experience. Enjoy whatever morning routine you have, whether that is a nice breakfast, your morning coffee, maybe listening to an educational podcast or inspirational podcast. Whatever it is that you need to do to jolt your day with something positive. The Dalai Lama has a wonderful quote that goes, "Just one positive thought in the morning can change your entire day." Just one thought, positive thought in the morning can change your entire day. That's the invitation I have for your morning routine. Second to that, affirmations. Affirmations are wonderful. They set the tone for the day. There is a beautiful affirmation from Hawaii called Oponopono. And it's 4 phrases. And it goes, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." And it does not matter if you have someone to say it to. It doesn't matter if you're saying it to yourself. It doesn't matter if you're sending it out to consciousness, because the law of attraction states that whatever you send out will come back tenfold. So that's one affirmation, one of many affirmations you could say in the morning. There's another wonderful affirmation that goes like this: "I maintain my mind firmly in the light." I maintain my mind firmly in the light. If you want to ponder on that and use it because it resonates with you, please do so. It's a beautiful affirmation. I've used it for many years. Conscious breathing. We've had a couple of classes, and we're going to have a class in the next month or two on proper breathing. But conscious breathing, bringing your consciousness and awareness to breathe just a few minutes during your meditative practice is perfectly fine. Mind you, my rule of thumb is this: 10 minutes a day gives you an A. 10 minutes a day gives you an A. Whether that is breathing, whether that is meditating, whether that is active movement or exercise, 10 minutes a day gives you an A. Having conscious breathing, you could do the 4-7-8 rule. Inhale for 4 counts, pause for 7, exhale for 8. That's a beautiful um, and simple way of attaining that state of alignment. You can do microcosmic orbit, which is a Qigong technique by a man called Mantak Chia. Look him up on YouTube if you want to follow that meditation. It's breathing to the pelvis through the front line of the body and exhaling through the back of the body, and nourishing not only your organs all the way down to your pelvis, but up to the brain. Mantak Chia, Mantak, last name Chia. Mantak Chia. In the morning, if your part of your morning routine involves a shower, take your shower, enjoy your shower, and finish with 30 seconds of just cold water. I know it sounds uninviting to some, but 30 seconds goes by very quickly, and all you need is that for a few seconds, and it ignites every single cell in your body and starts correct circulation of blood, of cells, of all of your vital information. 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower. Mind mapping. Mind mapping is a beautiful technique where you can there are apps you can download. They are free. Mind mapping, where you can draw a circle and then a line that connects the circle, and another bubble here, and another bubble here, and another bubble here. It's difficult to explain without having a visual in front of you. But mind mapping is the ability to organize your thoughts and your intentions for the day, the week, the month, and the year ahead. Mind mapping. Another technique, last one for now, excuse me, is word dumping. Take a notebook and whatever is in your head, write it down. It doesn't even have to be in sentence form. It doesn't even have to make sense. If it's miscellaneous words, random words that come to mind, write them down. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you cannot sleep or you have difficulty falling asleep in the first place, try a word dump because it's a great behavioral therapy technique that allows you to simmer the mind because as you write it, it's an expression of what your thoughts are pondering on, and it allows that volume to go down. All right. We are reaching the end of the hour, 7:56 on the dot. Uh, are there any questions? Are there any comments? Anyone that would like to share anything with regards to what we have spoken about today, or if they'd like to add some more feedback regarding uh, emotions or any technique that you use um, to to for your betterment, for your proper alignment. Jen, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you. I hope it was insightful. I hope for everyone that this discussion was insightful. It brought you um, some information to ponder on, and and I mean, that's what we do for dinner with the docs. It's proposing different viewpoints, different ways, different techniques or methods in order for you to properly attain a sense of balance and harmony. And when we are in that state, there is no room for dis-ease. Lastly, since we have 3 minutes, let's go ahead and close this section for the night with a couple rounds of breathing. Let's go ahead and sit comfortably, back slightly upright, not tensed, just nice and properly aligned. And let's actually invite our state of alignment right here, right now. Let's go ahead and close our eyes. Inhale and exhale through the nose, through the mouth, does not matter. And let's have the intention of bringing that state of alignment, feeling our physical body, maybe rocking side to side, back and forth, and seeing where we resonate in an upright sitting position. How do we feel with regards to our thoughts? Are our thoughts calm in nature? If not, can we calm those waters and make them still? And now, let's tap into our emotions. How do you feel right now? How do I feel right here, right now? I feel calm. I feel grateful. I feel joy. You do not have to express your emotions. I'm just letting you know how I feel at the end of this discussion. I feel like I could end my night and start a new one fresh tomorrow. Deep breath in, everyone. Exhale. One more breath. Deepest breath of the day. Inhale. Take more, take more, take more, take more, take more, take more. And exhale. Thank you, everybody, for a great night. Have a wonderful evening. Have a great week ahead, month ahead, and let's make this week the best week we can make it. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Gracias, Carmen. Thank you, Kevin. Maria Elena. Thank you, everybody. Bye now. Do I turn this off? There we go. All right. Hello.
Hey, don't forget to stop the recording and the live on Zoom as well.
Well done. Stop, not pause, right?
Stop, yeah.
So stop.